Hello and welcome to another English lesson. Today we're going to talk about something called conditionals. Conditionals are basically a way in English that we express probability or when something is unlikely. For those of you who live in Brazil, you probably know the trend that's happening on social media, on Instagram and Twitter, which is the phrase, o que você faria se não tivesse o racismo? How do we form this same phrase in English, right? So the phrase in English would be, if there were no racism, what would you do? If there were no racism, what would you do? So today in this lesson, we're going to learn exactly how to construct this type of conditional, which is called the type 2 conditional. So the type 2 conditional is a conditional we use to express an event in the present and to express our desires or the possibility of what we would do if that thing were real or if that thing were true. Okay? But remember, it's a possibility in the present, even though we use the simple past that I'll show you how to construct. So first, there's two parts to this lesson. We're going to learn how to construct the conditional in the present conditional. And the second part is we're going to learn how to construct the type 2 conditional. Okay? So how we construct the conditional in the present is the following. We use the auxiliary verb would, which is spelled W-O-U-L-D, plus the verb in the infinitive, but without the preposition to. So for example, would eat, would know, would work, would travel, would go. These are all forms of the present conditional of the verb. Okay? So the second part is how to construct the type 2 form of the conditional. The phrase that I mentioned earlier in the lesson, o que você faria se não tivesse o racismo, or what would you do if there were no racism, we're going to learn how to construct this second type of the conditional. This is something that we use to express something that in the present is unlikely, but in the future it's possible. Okay? Remember, we work with possibilities here on Real English Experience. So the way that we construct these phrases, we use the word if plus the simple past of the verb, and remember it's for irregular and regular verbs. And the third part of the phrase, we use the present form of the conditional. So the things that we constructed earlier, would be, would know, would go. Okay? So I'm going to give you 5 conditionals, and I want everybody to think about these conditionals. Ask your friends, ask your English teacher, ask the person in your English course, or ask your friends who speak English. But remember, the purpose of this is one, to think about how to construct these. The first question I would ask is, what would you do if there were no inequality in the world? So no racism, no sexism, no homophobia, no class discrimination. What would you do if these things didn't exist? The second one is, if you won the lottery, what would you do? If you won the lottery, what would you do? The third is, if you chose one meal for the rest of your life, what would it be? If you chose one meal for the rest of your life, what would it be? The fourth is, if you could travel to anywhere in the world, where would it be? If you could travel to anywhere in the world, where would it be? The last conditional is, if you invited anyone to your dream party or dinner, who would it be? And these people can be alive or passed away. So in the comments below, let me know, what are your ideas, what are your thoughts about these 5 conditionals?